Hi, I'm Mooney. Most of you know me through my Yelk or Larksona, and some through my older videos. This is my first story time. It'll be a bit short. This is more of a test on how these videos do, so if you enjoy, leave a like and a comment on what you enjoyed, and perhaps subscribe. So, I want to talk about learning that I was a furry and why it took me forever to come to terms with it. And it kind of involves my first school bully. I swear it's relevant. Firstly, I'd been sort of showing signs, per se, that I was a furry from age 12 to 13. When I was 12, I had set my goals on being an artist as an adult, and a lot of my early drawings revolved around fantasy and adventure plots. I started with a princess story, and at some point my art kind of started to implement cats, and I had an extreme cat girl phase for about 2 years that I didn't realize was a cat girl phase until last year when I was 19, kind of due to repressed memories and the absolute cringe that it left me with. I had moved to a new county and started going to a new school for 8th grade, and before I started, I got a journal, one of those fuzzy journals with a key and a lock that you buy at Claire's. I loved this journal, and thanks to it, I'm able to remember a lot of my old memories that would have been lost if I hadn't wrote them down. The first page of this journal has my introduction, which includes a very cringy, probably badly translated Japanese hello that I most definitely translated from Google Translate. At least I was well spoken. But on the next 2 pages, I wrote some more about myself, and the second page has me introducing myself as a kimono mimi. I say I'm a furry, but I'm also a kimono mimi. I'm comfortable with both terms. I had a few drawings that included kimono mimi characters in the earlier pages, but not many. Most of my drawing that included furries and kimono mimis were in old sketchbooks and journals for class that I'd drawn in sometimes. I drew these in class a lot, and my friends were never really judgmental about it, but the reason I was repressed was due to one specific person who I'm going to name Arthur, sorry to the actual Arthur, just for the sake of this video. I met Arthur at the beginning of the school year and wanted to be friends with him because he seemed alone and I was attempting to make new friends since I was new. We had an assembly, so we were lined up and on our way there, and I was talking to Arthur for a little bit. And while we were walking, this kid literally stopped me, and I will always remember this. This kid told me, "Hey, don't talk to Arthur, he's weird." And back then, I thought he was just being mean or something, so I ignored him. But now I realize that he was literally warning me, because this boy Arthur was an asshole. Throughout the school year, Arthur went from being a quiet kid I talked to for a few times to a major pain in my and everybody else's ass. I was a major pacifist in 8th grade, but this kid was asking to get punched. The earliest memory I have of him being a jerk was when I'd hang out with my friends at the time, and I was in a mixed friend group, one side being 3 to 4 guy friends, and the other side being 2 girlfriends. I hung out more with the boys because they were in most of my classes, and this began the dreaded shipping. We've all been there with the shipping, and people usually shipping you with someone you're friends with, and it's just majorly uncomfortable. And for me, it was super uncomfortable because at the time I was identifying as bi, but I really realized later that I was a lesbian and I was also demisexual, and that's kind of like why I was so uncomfortable with it, but that was unbeknownst to me at the time. A few students would come up to me and constantly tease that I was dating one of my guy friends, and I immediately shoot them down, but Arthur would always make extremely uncomfortable jokes, and I don't remember exactly why it made me so uncomfortable, but I have a feeling that he specifically would make very inappropriate jokes towards me and one of my specific friends who at the time was saying that they were gay. So it was just extremely uncomfortable, especially because everybody knew this, and he would just do it on purpose because he thought it was funny. Every single day when he would do this to me, I felt like I was being ignored by my teachers, especially in our science class when I would sit with my friend and Arthur, because we would sit at the same table, we were all assigned there, and we could not move. We begged our science teacher to let us move, and we were constantly shut down and told to just deal with it and just let it go. So he just had free range to just keep messing with us the entire year. Not only did he purposely make me uncomfortable with the shipping nonsense, but he would also make fun of my drawings, which consisted of mostly kimono mimi and anthro, which at the time I didn't really know that, but I really like drawing people with animal features, and so he would really point it out and make me feel really bad about it. He made me feel awful about how I drew and made me feel self-conscious for drawing people with animal ears. And I had learned to start ignoring him at the latter half of the year, but it had really taken a toll on me and on my self-esteem and my confidence in what I drew. It made me feel weird for liking animal features on my characters and on me, so I stopped. Sometimes I would draw Kimono Mimi because I have a character who has animal features and I can't let go of them, but I forced myself to draw more humans, normal people, and I shy away from putting animal parts on most of my characters and picking out animal ears and looking at cool animal tails because I thought it looked strange. It took a few years, around when I was 18, that a friend of mine asked me to join a furry Discord they were in, and I said yes because it sounded fun. I had learned about furries a few years back, and I really enjoyed them, but I still wasn't really sure what to do yet with it, and I wasn't aware that I was one. After a few days in the server, I started to kind of draw anthro characters, because I kind of like took an interest in it, and I didn't know if I could like post about human characters, so I started drawing anthro characters, and I actually had a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I had a small talk with my friend like a few days after I joined the server about it, and talked about how I really like drawing furries, and they were like, "You are literally a furry." And I was flabbergasted for some reason. I was genuinely surprised. And it's funny thinking about it now because I couldn't see it back then, but everything that I think about makes me realize that I was definitely a furry. Like, the cat girl phase that I mentioned before was strong. I had forgotten a lot of it, but I talked to some of my friends about it, and they actually recollected a few of their memories because mine are very, very, like, dull, and I can't remember most of them. But apparently, I used to threaten people with my nails, acting as if they were claws when they'd annoy me, and I hissed at people and made that little ew face, and I was, on top of that, the fact that I had wanted tail so bad and ears suggested I was definitely a furry as a kid, or, you know, something else, but we won't get into that. Anyway, I started drawing more furries after that, and I still draw humans, but now I proudly listen to friends talk about how they can draw humans or furries and go, I can draw both, because I do. I draw both furries and humans now, but more so I've been trying to draw a lot more furries and get used to, like, drawing that again, because I want to get comfortable in that part of myself again, because it took me a lot of years to come to terms with the fact that it was okay for me to draw that stuff, and it's not like, if someone has a problem with it, it's their own problem, because for me, it's something that makes me happy, and I don't want to let somebody else's words dictate what I draw anymore. And being 13 at the time, of course, I was like super influenced by that. But I don't want to ever feel like I can't draw something just because somebody's bullying me for the way I draw it. There was a lot of more aspects to the story, but since I'm keeping it short, that's the majority of it. Just like the school bullying part wasn't super important to the story, but it had a lot to do with that part of myself. And so I thought I should mention at least a little bit of it. If you enjoyed this, I hope you did, because it was a little bit scatterbrained, honestly. I tried to write a script down for it, but I know it like came across as probably a little bit confusing just because I talk really fast, and it's just like, there's a lot of the story that I probably missed or like messed up, because a lot of it I can't remember, and even though I wrote down a lot of my memories from that time, it wasn't very much, and usually those memories would just stay in my brain. Or in other people's brains. And I'm not going to go prod my friends about every single memory they have from that time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.